Good morning everyone, I'm Ben Turner, Managing Director of ITEC. We're a digital and IT apprenticeship and training provider, and absolutely delighted to have this session with you this morning. I'm joined by my colleague Guy Lloyd, who's someone I've worked with for some years now. He's been a supplier, he's been a customer, he's been a friend, and also I notice he spends a lot more time on the golf course these days than perhaps he should. Morning Guy, can you hear us okay?
Morning, Ben. Yes, I can hear you fine. I wish I could spend more time on the golf course.
Just waiting for that sound to come through, guys, so we can hear you all right.
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Guy, I think we can hear you now.
Good. Good.
How are you this morning, Guy? You well?
I'm very well, thank you. Yes. I'm very well. Looking forward to getting on the golf course. Your comment?
Indeed. Guy, this morning we're talking about technology, we're talking about careers, we're talking about sales, which I know is an area that's very keen on in your world and something that you've played a large part in. And we're also talking about cyber and security. But before we go into all that, Guy, give us a bit of a potted history of your career to date and what you're involved with and what you have been involved with, so our viewers can understand exactly where you're coming from.
Delighted to, Ben. Hopefully it won't take too long over this. Where did it start? I guess it starts, I left university with a software engineering degree. I started coding and moved into team leading and then product support, and then before I knew it, I was doing pre-sales and then sales. And then 7 years into my career, I changed jobs and became a sales manager. So I've been managing salespeople now for 30 odd years. And back in the back end of 96 it was, I joined a small US company that was just setting up their sales operation, or their operation in Europe. Happened to be owned by IBM, but independent. And then 3 years later, IBM absorbed them, and I got into IBM. I was there for 12 years, had a fantastic time there. I ran various sales teams, UK ones, worldwide ones, European ones. I was responsible for various software portfolios. I also was a general manager position for technology services, owned our services businesses. And when I left IBM, I went to work for Juniper Networks, which is a small sister, I guess you could say, although they are about 5 billion in size. Looking at the hardware side of things, that was another aspect of technology. So then I looked at software, services, and the hardware piece, so all three pieces of software. 3 years at Juniper, and then I went to Microsoft, worked on their database product area. I led the UK team. We also did a lot of work with Azure and helped to lay the foundations of Microsoft rapid growth in their Azure portfolio. And then I decided I wanted to work more into the UK economy and work with smaller companies. And an old colleague of mine, or friend, actually a business partner of mine from my IBM days, asked me if I could come and help him as an SME in understanding what sales was about. He's been struggling for years to get his sales function working properly, and I was very happy to help him. So I do that now 3 days a week as a commercial director. And any spare time I've got, I help with the Association of Professional Sales, something that's been a real passion for me. And I've been involved, as you said, then since it pretty much started. And I think it's a fantastic activity we're doing. And sales is a tremendous career. So it's been great for me. I've travelled all over the world. I've been to most European countries. I've been to the US more times than I can mention. It's a fantastic career, and I hope everybody can enjoy the successes I've had.
So, Guy, as we go into it, and obviously I know a lot about your background, especially the sales stuff, but before we go into the sales, what about technology as a whole? Why is that such an exciting industry to be in today, and the sort of people that can and will get involved with technology in your experience as a career?
It's been exciting since I started. When I started in software, we were working with 8.5-inch floppy disks. We were working with, I just missed punch cards, thank God. But the pace of change continues. I saw the start of mobile phones. I saw the start of email, and it's like you can't imagine what technology is going to do tomorrow. But it always does. It comes through and it changes so rapidly. I think that's what's I find so exciting, is that there's always something great and better coming down tomorrow. So it's constantly changing. And if you like change, if you like doing new things, if you like new opportunities, and I think that's the thing about technology from a sales perspective, is that it enables new stuff that we couldn't do yesterday, we can do tomorrow. There's always a new or better way of doing something that we were doing today. And that's a fantastic thing for a salesperson, because selling is all about helping people improve how they do things, fixing problems that weren't solvable yesterday but are solvable today. So the rate of change and the amount of change, I think, is what is so fascinating and so exciting about the technology space, and it will continue, I think.
And we've spoken previously about it. I know a mutual colleague of ours, Dr. Javier Marcos, talks about all businesses being tech businesses. You don't have tech businesses, you have tech that enables your business. How have you seen that evolve in your career, and how apparent is that today and moving forward?
I think it's absolutely the case now. Today, every company needs technology to run its business. All the business processes are technology-based. All the communications, particularly now with COVID, is digital. Digital is the sort of the framework that your company hangs off. And even now, the most valuable companies in the world, they're digital companies. Google, Facebook, what do they have? They just have some very smart computer systems. So it's right. It is. Technology really drives commerce and business today, and it will continue to do so. And as AI and artificial intelligence and those sort of things come through, it'll be even more so that way. The value today is in data and information and insights. It's much less into the physical things that we can see and touch. It's more about the knowledge that we can derive from those things.
Okay, and going now back into the sales area, we're really excited about the launch of our IT sales apprenticeship. And apprenticeships and things that me and you have worked on previously. So I know you're passionate around that. But rather than going into the apprenticeship itself, let's talk about SMEs and your experience in working with technology SMEs. What sort of challenges are they having, and what are you seeing that needs better support from SMEs as a wider sort of wider environment as such? What are you seeing from those SMEs, and what sales knowledge, skills, and support do they typically need?
Well, I think SMEs, particularly the smaller ones, they really do struggle with sales. Yeah, business, particularly business to business sales, which is really what my background has been, is it's a pretty demanding subject. It's a lot of there's a lot of complexity there, and it's generally poorly understood. So the problem with smaller companies is that without having those sales operations and the sales enablement functions, they still have got to work it out for themselves, and they find it very hard. They don't understand the subject, so they are generally less effective in taking their products to market than they could be. We have there's still the sense that if I've got a great product, the world will beat the path to my door. Well, it doesn't really happen that way anymore. I don't think it ever did, actually. There is so much noise out there that for you to be noticed as a supplier of a business solution, you've got to go and knock on business doors and tell them what you've got and help them understand how it can help their business. That's a real sales skill. And it's not about talking about the wonderful features and functions of your product, because particularly if you're an innovative company, you're bringing new solutions and new capabilities to the marketplace. These things are not understood because they're new. So you have to educate your buyer about why this thing is of interest to them and how it can help them. And that's not about describing the product. That's about translating what the product can do to the impact and make it relevant to your customer. And that's a real skill. And that's where the sales function is so important. And the reason why I'm a Cysure helping Nick, an old friend of mine, is that he struggles with that. He's a classic CTO technologist who just loves the technology, which is really, really great to see. And I think that's typical of many SMEs. But they really struggle with then simplifying it and making their proposition understandable to the customers. And without that function, that sales function, SMEs will never realise their opportunities and their potential. There's some fantastic SMEs out there with some brilliant products, but they just don't understand how to sell it. And it's not about talking about what the product does. It's about talking about the impact of the product on the customer's business. It's quite a different discussion.
And we've had this discussion as well, I know internally, because this is a drum you've been beating for a long time. I know you do a lot of work with the SMEs, because we see these great entrepreneurs, and we've got some brilliant businesses that are our customers, fantastic organisations with brilliant product in there. But one of the things I know you've spoken to me about was how they recruit and how they find the right salespeople and what those skills actually are to allow them not only to have great people in the business, but finding the right people with those skills to go and drive those conversations that you've just referenced.
Yeah, the problem I think with sales is that we're all exposed to sales, as you say, in the high street, and we all have the view of the gift of the gab, sales sound, the Arabs type salesperson. It's not really what most SMEs need. And so what they tend to do is to hire somebody who looks like a typical salesperson, but they're not terribly comfortable with anyway. They don't necessarily hire the right sort of person who can help them build their business. And then because they don't really have, the understanding of what it is to manage and develop a salesperson, they don't really understand if the person they've hired is actually a good hire. They don't know how to develop that person. And what will typically happen, this is very much the case, with my experience of SME leaders, is that it takes them 6 to 9 months to realise that's actually a bad hire. And they will let that person go. And then guess what they do? They do exactly the same thing again, because they think it's just a bad hire. They don't realise that they're looking for the wrong sort of skills. So, we need to help SMEs be more informed and more knowledgeable about what to look for in a salesperson, so that they can actually be successful and get their products to their customers. They really do struggle with fundamentally with sales recruitment, and on the other side of that coin is there's just not enough people out there with sales skills. We do not do enough in this country to educate and develop salesmanship, good professional business salesmanship.
And Guy, you've been involved with the all-party parliamentary group around sales. So what's happening there that gives us hope around helping SMEs and technology SMEs in particular to find the right people or understand the right parameters for making those great hires that you've just referenced there?
Well, actually, interesting. We are just shortly be launching a inquiry into SME sales skills, and we've looked at this subject in quite some depth. It starts with a lack of good foundational education for young people coming into the sales into the workplace, we say. So where do you go and get your basic knowledge of what it is to be a good salesperson? Where do you go for that? The colleges do a little bit, but not enough. The universities, see sales as something that's not for them to teach. And yet, if you go to America, you can go to 100 universities and get a 3-year sales degree. Over in the UK, maybe a couple that provide it. So we don't recognise the need to develop professional salespeople, yet it is fundamental to the economy. Without sales, there's no business. If you can't sell what you build, you have no business very quickly. So it comes down to education, and companies like yourself helping to build that early awareness of sales, and then also in schools, I think, to grow the awareness that sales is a fantastic career. Business sales is a wonderful career. It's served me fantastically well. I've travelled around the world. I've had some great experiences, and we want more people to be able to enjoy what is a tremendous profession.
So, as we move forward with the conversation and move into cyber, you're supporting a business at the moment, which I'd love you to share a little bit more about what you guys do. But in the world of cyber, one would suggest, surely, Guy, that cyber security is so relevant now that shouldn't it sell itself? What challenges are you having around there, and how relevant is that statement?
Yeah, I think cyber sort of may sell itself to the big enterprises, but if we continue the conversation around the SME space, and that's very much where my company Cysure is focused on, is helping small medium enterprises. Is that we've done a great job in the cyber industry to make this very complex, confusing, and costly. You go to a cyber exhibition, there's lots of them there, and you find some very big, complex, clever solutions that are really aimed at the enterprise, and it's daunting for an SME who are just struggling to run the business as to what to do. But cyber is absolutely critical now. As we digitise, everything is online. The opportunity for cyber attack is growing all the time. Most companies actually will experience some sort of cyber attack in the next 12, 24 months. A lot of them actually have been attacked right now and don't even realise it. So, cybersecurity is absolutely vital. It comes down to, first of all, awareness of individuals and employees to understand how not to be tricked into phishing attacks and those sort of things. It comes down to some good basic policies that you can put in place. There's the GCHQ have got very simple guidance as to how to establish good cyber defense, and it comes to basic things like backups. These things aren't complex, but we have this is the problem with tech generally. We overcomplicate things. The point of technology is to make things easier to do. It's not to make things more complicated. The technology itself may be very complicated and sophisticated, but its job is to make things simpler and easier for businesses and people. And the same applies to cyber. It doesn't need to be complex and costly. We can establish some very good defense postures for cyber without spending a lot of money. And that's what Cysure is all about, is helping to get access to some good foundational cyber safety, because we need it. With everybody working from home, the attack vectors for the hackers are very wide. Any laptop now is vulnerable. Any that email that you click through, that alert that says your PayPal account's been suspended, you need to spot those for what they are, which are scams.
Absolutely, and clearly, we're also I've mentioned our new IT sales apprenticeship. We now have our cybersecurity apprenticeship, a level 4 apprenticeship as well. So again, segueing into that apprenticeship world, those skills that we talk about as well. How relevant do you think young individuals, or any actually individual that's looking to go into cyber, is that a good career choice at the moment, guys? Is this a fad, or is this something that's going to be apparent and pretty significant over the coming years?
It's certainly not a fad, and it is very significant, and it's going to continue to grow and evolve. I mean, it's a bit of a fight here. You've got the dark forces, the bad actors who are getting increasingly sophisticated, and the tools they have are increasingly sophisticated. And unfortunately, those tools are becoming available on the dark web. So you can buy, on the dark web, simple cyber attack type technology and just deploy it. It's very easy to do. So that's why we need to have the basic levels of defence established. But they're getting up, and so does the cyber defence game need to go up as well, so that we can respond to it. So the demand for cyber skills is very high. I don't think it's a great career. It's a very rapidly changing area. So if you're interested, if you like change, if you like to do new things, I think it's a great place to be, because we're gonna have many years of development and improvement and innovation in this space, and that's the good of all society, because we can't allow the new way of doing business, digital, to be hijacked by some bad actors. And there's a risk of that, and obviously the damage to an organisation it can be pretty severe, but the damage to an individual can be pretty high. I mean, imagine if you're buying a house and those funds get sent to the wrong place. Well, is that your house gone? You've now lost your lifetime savings to buy a house. I mean, this affects us all, and being in the cyber space and helping companies and individuals to defend themselves, I think is a very worthwhile career. And it's got a lot of legs. It's going to be evolving and developing for many years yet.
So it's interesting the point that you make around that and this future of cybersecurity as a whole. Part of what we want to do at ITEC is make sure that we're delivering value to our customers outside of just the apprenticeship and training. So we're trying to do sessions like this where we can hear from people like yourself who've got some great experience around sales and things along those lines. Let's give some value back now, Guy, in terms of your experience. And I know for a fact you've in the past had conversations with me around security. What are the sort of things that businesses can do today that help with their security generally, apart from obviously the wider interaction with businesses like yours and ours? What are the sort of things that people are just missing that's really fundamental that they should be doing?
Well, I mean, I think if you look at the sort of fundamental building blocks of a good cyber posture, and again, I'm looking at the SMEs, and remember there are 275,000 SMEs, the small medium enterprises. These are companies that employ between 10 and 250 people, and there's another 5 million of companies that employ less than 10 people. So this is a huge group of organisations that struggle because they don't have the access to dedicated cyber experts. So the things you can do, first of all, education. Make sure all your staff understand and can recognise a cyber attack or a phishing attack. So that bogus email, that dodgy web page, that dodgy SMS message. Make sure or that phone call that comes in that says your Amazon thing has been blocked. Make sure they recognise those for what they are, and that's not difficult to do. There's a lot of video on the market that can help educate and train your staff. And then the next thing is to just deploy the guidance in Cyber Essentials. Cyber Essentials is a government-sponsored policy. It's 5 pretty simple technical controls that you can deploy. They're not that complex, and they will protect you from most attacks, and certainly the amateur attack, which is what most people will see. With that is also backup. Make sure that your data is backed up, so that if you get a ransomware attack and all your data is encrypted, it doesn't matter because you just restore the backup. These are relatively simple things to do. They don't cost a lot of money, and they will take you a long way to protecting yourself from being attacked and the consequences of being attacked, i.e. you can recover. A lot of companies, it's not the attack itself that is the problem, it's the recovery and getting your business back up to speed. Can actually be a deadly event for a company. It can't survive that. So this is not that difficult to do, and Cysure is focused on providing a virtual guide, I guess you can say, that explains what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And it works through a series of email events that say, well, have you done this? You need to do that. So you don't need to employ expensive consultants to do, what I call the basics. It is manageable. It is doable, and it needs to be done.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for that, Guy. And we're going to be wrapping up a little bit now as well. So again, in terms of summary for us, we're really great to have you on the call and sharing your insight around that. I think we've shared some of those exciting opportunities that are going around in technology and why a career in technology is so important, or so exciting as well. But just going into those different sales areas and the great work that you guys have been doing around sales and the importance of it, this idea that that these products sell themselves, even as something as relevant as cyber needs to be positioned in correctly. And likewise, this cyber industry that's being created is available, or a skill set that's really important. Have you got any other reflections around this conversation that you'd be keen to share with our audience before we sign off, Guy?
Yeah, I think a couple of things. I mean, I think sales itself is a very broad church, if you use that term. All sorts of personalities and people. there's a role for you. So don't look at sales as being, the flashy red tie type organisation. There are many functions in sales and many support functions that you can find a home in. So it is all sorts of personalities, people, stuff can potentially be good, successful in sales. There are many different roles in sales. From a technology point of view, it's a fantastic area to be in because it changes so much. And the job of a salesperson is a bit like a doctor. A doctor's job is to cure the patient. A salesperson's job is to make their customer's business better. And what you're doing is you're diagnosing and then solving. And that's what, and so it's not a lot different from the medical world. In that we, as good salespeople, we need to find issues, we need to find problems that we can fix, and then we need to help the customer recognize those problems, and then give them the confidence to fix those problems. And by doing that, their business will run better and more efficient. If we do that across the economy will lift, and that's going to be good for everybody because there'll be more money in the system, and we'll be more prosperous as a nation. It's that profound selling, and I want many people to come in here who find it passionate and want to do it because it is a very worthwhile and value-added profession.
Fantastic, Guy. Thank you so much for that. And look, for those listening and listening in future, please, let's interact with Cysure and the great work they're doing as well. But likewise, if you're interested in becoming an apprentice yourself, and please look at cyber and technology and sales and all those different areas, and please come and talk to us about how that can be done. Likewise, if you're an employer and you're looking at taking on people at the moment, or reskilling or even reshuffling the pack, as we're seeing, Guy, where people are having to redistribute their sales workforce or their workforce generally into different roles, then ITEC, of course, we're here to support that as well, and we'd love to support you with that. But for now, I think we're almost up at the half-hour mark. Guy, it's been an absolute pleasure to speak with you as ever. Wishing you well, wishing you safety as well, and thank you again for joining us this morning.
Pleasure, Ben. Thank you for the opportunity. Take care.
And thanks for dialing in, and thanks for tuning in and watching this stream with us. We look forward to our next streams. We're going to be doing coffee mornings with Ben and other members of our team over here to try and deliver more insight back to our learners and more insight back to our customers. And we'll make sure that we're sharing that with you over the coming months. Thanks for joining us this morning. Look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.